I'm on the Rohm stand, work holding specialist at Mach, and big news with the company at the moment is the appointment of Mr. David Bridgens as new managing director, replacing Barry Long in August. David, just tell me something about your background, where you're from. You've been in the touring industry for...
Yeah, I worked for Kennametal for 34 years. Joined Rohm back in November of last year, so 6 months now with the company. Big change for me, having 34 years with a cutting tool company, but it's a fantastic opportunity. Barry, who is the MD currently, he retires, as you said, at the end of July, so I take over in August. And it's really exciting. It's a great honour to take over the stewardship of this company. They've been established since 1909. Yep. It's a very well respected brand. Very good setup. We've got a great manufacturing facility in Sondheim, excellent design facility. So for me to come into this environment, it is new. It's very similar in some ways to what I was used to, because there is that relationship between the cutting tool, the work holding and the machine tool. So whilst it's a slightly different product, it's in the same sector. But the team in Sondheim, as I said, is absolutely fantastic. There's a great team in the UK, so whilst it is new for me, I've got the backing of a great network of people, products, and as I said, it's a very well established brand in the UK.
Learning the ropes, operations director, being kind of tailing Barry and gaining the benefit of his vast knowledge in the industry. How is your job going to change at the moment? As an operations director, what have you been doing?
So, coming into the company from a much larger corporation in that sense, I've been able to bring in some processes for the sales side, because that was my background previously, both in direct sales and on the indirect side. So we've introduced some new processes to the team. We've added some structure in there. It's allowed me, with Barry still being around, to understand the culture, which is very important. You need to understand the culture of the company. It's allowed Barry to step back a little bit. So as each month goes by, Barry will give me a little bit more of the operational side from the managing director's perspective. So the relationship with some of the senior customers, the relationship very importantly with the factory back in Germany. And as you said, Barry's been there such a long time. Following Barry around is interesting, but it's also important because he has that connection both with the customer base and with the factory. So for me, it's allowed me, coming in within that sort of 6 to 8 month period before August, to relax into the role a little bit. So I now know the people in Germany. I've got to grips with the customers. The product is evolving for me as a development in terms of training, and I feel comfortable now with the product. Some of it is still very technical, but having people like Bob James, who's the sales director, Bob's been with the company for 25 years almost. So it's a good network, but as I said, importantly for me, having that transitional period with Barry has allowed me to step into the role and immerse myself in the culture, the product and the people. Once you've got all three of those together, it's a pretty successful relationship.
So I guess this isn't your first time at this show?
No. I've done many shows before, always from the cutting tool side. But it's nice to see, and certainly when you're taking over that position as managing director, you have a very different perspective on the footfall, the types of people you see, the lead generation. When you're part of a bigger team but in a smaller role, and then you move to this type of role, the whole show takes on a different perspective. And it's been good for us. We've had some fantastic people come on the stand, new customers, which is really important, and some very promising leads out of the people that we've seen.
Fantastic. Now I know you've got some number of products that we're going to take a look at the show but for the time being, all the best in the new role.
Thank you.
And hope it all goes well.
Thanks very much.
Thanks, David. Number of new products on the Rohm stand. I'm now with Bob James, who's the sales director at Rohm. Bob, this is the new 0 point system. Do you want to tell me something about that? It's for, I understand it, for pallet loading and clamping work on pallet.
Very accurate to 2 microns, 2 microns repeatability. The Rohm system is different to a lot of systems on the market because where a lot of systems use pins, we don't. I'll show you the system.
Yeah.
So with the Rohm system, basically, unlike we don't have pins coming out the bottom, we have a taper, and our system works on a membrane system. So when we're changing, basically when the system goes on, we're not worrying about putting pins into a hole. We can just drop the system on and the air will clamp it back down. We get a higher accuracy because our system works on a membrane and it can bend the system, and the two units are exactly the same.
Yeah.
A normal system has a master pin and a second pin. Our systems are exactly the same, clamping down onto a taper, pulling down onto the system.
And it's pneumatically or...
It's pneumatic release and spring clamp. So once the system's clamped down, you can release the air, take it away and send it back into the machine.
And one of the nice things about this is you can do all this off the machine.
Yes.
So productivity's not interrupted. You can literally keep the machine running whilst loading this off machine.
Absolutely. So if for argument's sake the machine had just finished, we would take the pallet away, bring in the second pallet, load it, press the button and then return to setting up a complete new job. Very, very small downtime.
And I understand the maintenance can be carried out by the customer rather than having to send it back to you.
Yes, a lot of systems on the market, it's unable to do any maintenance. With ours, on here we put a blue ring over, make the balls go into a clamp position. We can then undo the 12 cap heads, take that unit off, make any repairs and put it back on.
And it can compensate for differences in ambient temperature.
It can, because the both systems are the same. The membrane that we've got on here, if we have an expansion in temperature, the left hand side of this and the right hand side of this will bend slightly less than the other two on the outside, keeping our 2 micron repeatability in the centre of the pallet.
Excellent. Okay, Bob, let's take a look at some more products. Okay, Bob, so this is the COE consonant face driver, which I understand is for turning and milling workpieces along their entire length.
Yes.
Without reclamping.
Yeah, that's correct. COE currently is available with a Morse taper and a driving disc on the front. The driving disc can be interchanged, so we change between an 8mm diameter up to 80mm diameter. The driving relationship between the disc and a component is 2:1. So realistically you can drive any component from 8mm up to 160mm from the one unit.
Okay.
The driving disc itself will drive onto the face of the component and actually bite into the face and give you very stable machining. The beauty with the COE system, the ball at the back actually locks out, so we get it totally rigid, and it's one of the only systems on the market where you can actually mill and drill on the face driver.
And is the COE an abbreviation for anything, or was it just a brand name?
It's just a brand name.
Right. Yeah. And what kind of applications do you think this is going to be suitable for? I mean, high volume?
High volume or short volume, because to change the disc over, you simply flick the disc off. There's a O-ring inside, you put a new disc on for a new diameter and you're up and running again. Excellent.
And I think now we're going to look at some chucks for crankshafts.
For crankshafts, yes.
Thanks, Bob. Bob, this very impressive looking display is obviously for machining crankshafts and involves 2 chucks. I guess they operate simultaneously. What limitations, if any, are there on the size of what components you can machine?
But the limitations really are in the machine tool. The machine tool, if the crank gets longer or shorter, then really it's just the machine tool moving back.
And you can use more steadies.
There can be more steadies. And it's really just producing, this setup is for just producing everything that is concentric.
Now, is this a new product for you? Obviously you have customers in the automotive sector. Is this a new product or is it an established product?
No, it's a very established product. Okay. Used for all the automotive companies both in the UK and throughout the world. Obviously when you come to the offset diameters, then there is a different chuck for that, which then can index to also produce those.
So the control of these chucks is, they can be independent all operated as a pair.
Absolutely, and they are all operated from the machine tool. The machine tool will be opening and closing the jaws as and when is necessary. The chucks themselves are just two individual chucks on the end of two spindles on the same machine.
Okay. Well, I guess as we're at Mach, we should say a bit about the show. How's it been?
Very good, very good. The show, lots of inquiries, very busy. Yeah, we were okay.
I think Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday
They're our days.
have proved to be busy days.
They are our days. The other two, okay, people are getting here. Maybe on Fridays they want to go home. Everybody finishes early, but that gives the opportunity for maybe some of the small single guys to come on Friday afternoon.
Excellent. Thanks for your time, Bob.
Thank you.